everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about ethical investments. Something that I have been getting really interested in and really passionate about lately is my finances. They have been a complete mess recently, something that I have just been very much, I guess, living paycheck to paycheck and spending way too much money on things that I don't end up really valuing and I don't need. So I have been trying to really sort that out, and one of the first things that I wanted to make sure I had right before I got into investing elsewhere was my KiwiSaver. For those outside New Zealand, KiwiSaver is our government supported retirement savings scheme. So what I mean by government supported is that as long as you're putting above a minimum amount into it per year, you will get an additional $512 from the government to go into it each year. So that is something that you really want to have, because you may as well be getting that money. And then the other rule of it is that you can't access it until you are 65, which is our current retirement age. You can access a little bit of it earlier if you want to go to a house deposit, but I am definitely using mine as a retirement savings scheme. So like I said, I do want to find investments that aren't locked up in KiwiSaver, but the first thing that I wanted to get locked down was that KiwiSaver, because that was where I already had some money. I guess the first thing that we should talk about is, what is ethical investing? What do people mean when they say that? Because ethical is really one of those words that gets thrown around a lot, and it can mean very different things to different people, and unfortunately it's really the same when it comes to ethical investing. It's all about what is ethical to you and what matters to you in terms of where you're investing your money. For some people, that is going to be those more moral type of issues. They don't want to be investing in tobacco companies and alcohol companies, in pornography or other forms of adult entertainment, or they don't want to be invested in gambling, those kinds of things. There's also things like weapons of different kinds. To be invested in weapons manufacturing companies is very common across a lot of different funds, and a lot of people, understandably, don't want to be involved with that. And then there is the environmental side of things. People want to know how other companies are investing in treating the environment, what kind of impact are they having there. There's also issues of how are they treating their workers, and then there are of course animal rights issues as well, where some people don't want to be involved in companies that animal test. Usually when people talk about ethical investment, they talk about avoiding companies or avoiding funds that invest in all those kinds of things that they may not want to be involved in, but it can also include actively choosing to invest in companies that you really do support and know do share your values, and so you want to support them, and when they find success you want to get part of that benefit from their success. So it can go both ways, but usually when people talk about it, they do talk about avoiding the stuff they don't like. So as I said, I am starting to think a lot more about my finances and trying to be wiser with what I'm doing with my money. And you know, I'm the type of person in my daily life, I put a lot of effort into trying to buy products that I buy to use and to own from more ethical sources, but I realized I've got more money in my KiwiSaver than I'm ever going to spend on any one product, and probably than I'm ever going to spend on all the products that I buy for fun within a year, you know. So what I do with my KiwiSaver money is going to have much more of an impact, positively or negatively, than, you know, what groceries I buy or what clothes I buy. So I realized, okay, it's pretty important for me to figure out how can I best invest this money. I honestly had no idea what my KiwiSaver fund was investing in, because I just used the fund that was connected to the bank that I was using for my bank accounts, because that way when I logged into my online banking I could see, you know, all of my accounts, but then I could also see the KiwiSaver, and it was just good to be able to see it building up, see what was in there, see how all of that was going, and kind of when I would go and check in on my day-to-day banking, I could just see it there and think, okay, cool, it's good that I've got some kind of awareness of how that's going. But yeah, because I just kind of went with that fund by default, I had absolutely no idea of what it was invested in. And a recent survey found that 72% of Kiwis, they expect that their KiwiSaver is being or would be being invested ethically. That is what they want. However, over half of us are with one of the big four Australian banks, and about a quarter is with ANZ. ANZ is invested in fossil fuel providers and in companies that have had human rights violations, environmental violations, and companies that test on animals. And it was so easy for me to change providers. It took me about 20 minutes all up. I wasn't able to find, an ideal vegan appropriate fund that I would have really wanted to invest in, but overall I'm so much happier that now, overall I am with a fund that is investing in more ethical companies, more socially responsible and environmentally responsible companies. And while it's not vegan, it is focused on not having animal testing and those kind of more extreme side of things that I obviously don't want to be involved in, but also I think a lot of people who aren't vegan don't want to be involved with. And I'm really not worried about losing money going down this route, because we're seeing more and more that people are concerned about the environmental impact of what they do with their money, what they buy. And so I think the companies that share the values that I have selected for in my fund are companies that are going to just do better and better. So how did I do it? How did I find who I should be switching my fund to? I found this website called Mindful Money, and they have a little quiz on there that you can go through, and they will show you which funds that are available in New Zealand as KiwiSaver funds match your values the best. So they give you a little quiz up the front. You get to rank what means the most to you. So is it more important to you to avoid companies that concern you, or is it more important to you to invest in things that you like? Is it important that the fund has got high rate of returns in the past? Different things like that. You rank them. I chose to go with avoiding stuff I don't like being top, and then investing in things I do like second. And then after that, the next stage it takes you on to is one where you get to kind of on a scale of 1 to 10, how concerned are you about different industries? So for me, I was very concerned about investment in things like fossil fuels, companies that animal test, factory farming, companies that have human rights violations. And then I wasn't, particularly concerned about things like gambling and alcohol and tobacco. And then I wasn't at all concerned about, adult entertainment or GMOs. I would be really happy actually to invest in some exciting GMOs. We are pro-science here. But yeah, essentially you get to drag the sliders back and forth in line with what matters to you. They also ask you at the end a little bit about your risk profile, so how long you're wanting to invest in. So for me, obviously if I'm not wanting to access my KiwiSaver until retirement, I'm not going to be buying a home first with that money, then that's obviously a very long period of investment. So they ask you, how long is it going to be you think before you want to access it? And they ask you what kind of level of risk you're comfortable with, and then they will show you what funds seem to best match what you've said. For me, the fund that came out as being the best match was the CareSaver fund. So I instantly went over to their website and had a good look around, and there were very quickly some things that appealed to me. One of those things was that 20% of the fees that you pay to them, they donate to charity, and you can actually choose from a bunch of different charities which charity your money will go to. And 20% of your fees, that's not very much, but it's better than nothing. And I think I may as well select one of their charities and have that go to them. There was quite a range there of some really awesome groups. I went with the New Zealand Vegetarian Society, who does also promote veganism as well, because I thought, the fund unfortunately is not vegan, but at least I can use that to give a little bit of extra support to them. The companies that they invest in are assessed on their ESG merit, so that's environmental, social and governance, and those are things that are important to me. You want the companies to be responsible in terms of the environment, but also in terms of how they treat their staff. So things that the fund I'm with now avoids are factory farming, whaling, controversial weapons like cluster bombs, but then also civilian weapons and animal testing. I have seen that they do invest in a dairy company, which I hate, but like I said, there is no vegan fund out there currently for KiwiSaver in New Zealand, so this was the best one that I could find. And I feel like we all know that the dairy industry is not doing too wonderfully right now, and so I think, you know, the managers of this fund, they might be wanting to divest from that a bit over time, so we'll see. But yeah, this was the best I could do, and overall I'm happy with it. You know, like I said, there's no vegan fund, so if they ever made one, I will switch to that in a heartbeat. And will I be investing in dairy companies outside of my KiwiSaver? Hell no. So I did switch to the KiwiSaver fund, and it took me like 10 to 15 minutes to actually sign up with them. It would have been quicker if I had my ID right with me and I didn't have to go looking all around the house for it. And then the actual process of switching from my previous fund to them was all taken care of by them. I didn't have to contact my previous fund manager at all. I didn't have to do anything with that side of it. They just took care of it, and then it just wasn't in my online banking anymore, and now it's with them, and I can log in on the KiwiSaver site and find everything there and manage it all there. So I'm so much happier knowing that my KiwiSaver money is being invested more ethically, and I think also more financially prudently. I highly recommend that you take a look at where your KiwiSaver money is currently being invested, and if you're not happy, go onto the Mindful Money website and take the quiz, see what they recommend for you, take a look at that, see if that works for you, and then sign up to that new fund if you think that it's a good idea. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful or interesting, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe and hit the bell if you haven't already. Go live your best life, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.